Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk. As you all know, we're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And for the people that don't know, we just sit down and talk each time with someone different. And today I have the pleasure to have Liesy Bautista. She is, as you can tell in the thumbnail or the title of the video, today we're talking all about creativity. And Liesy is one of my favorite creators that I personally know of, and also that I follow. And then I'll explain a little more into the video. What do I mean by that? Liesy, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. So like Hugo said, my name is Liesy, and it's a pleasure being here with you guys today. So yeah.
So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so like you mentioned before, my name is Liesy Bautista. I'm 20 years old. I graduated high school 2 years ago, but I'm not in college. I decided not to go because it's pretty expensive, and I prefer working to save up for that. So right now I'm working at a radio station, which is, basically all about content, like creating content, putting content, I can't even say it, content out there, I personally don't create content. I am right now, I'm just in charge of like the administration there, but obviously like, I'm always there behind the scenes of what like people are doing, people are saying and stuff like that. So that's that. Ministry wise, I'm in charge of the social media for We Are Youth. I also I also design for the team. So that's pretty much it. On my free time, I'm always home. I'm such a homebody. I like reading. Um yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know what else to
So now that you mentioned that you're more of like a more of like a home type of person, how is this quarantine like treating you? How is it has it been like, you know, because there's a lot of people who are usually mostly home, people that work
add.
from home or they take care of their families and stuff like that. But has this quarantine like teach you anything new, or has it maybe improved something that you thought like, and that you didn't have, or any new
Mhm.
ideas came out, stuff like that?
Okay, so honestly, the majority of my friends, that I've been talking to, they're like so over quarantine. But
Yeah.
like me, because like I think it's just my personality, I guess. It's been like such a benefit for me. I feel like I've actually been like relaxed for a couple months now, like before this whole COVID thing happened. I was just really stressed because I was doing too much on my plate. And so like in a way I felt like I never really had time for myself, like time to like just like sit down and relax. So in a way I feel like this quarantine really like benefited me in the way of like just like relaxing and like getting to like just chill. And like I actually had time to like catch up on things that I was behind in, for example, like books I was reading. Like I'm actually like how do you say this, looking over my weight and stuff. So that's that, like, I'm trying to be healthy. But yeah, so I feel like this quarantine has been really helping me. What
Awesome.
about you?
Yeah, I think this quarantine is like it's something that you mentioned at the end, like uh a lot of the memes, a lot of the comments is like me before quarantine, like me after quarantine is like, but what I'm just gonna ask you a few questions before we get into like the main topic, just people know a little bit
Okay.
about you. And I like to something that I want to start doing is like getting to introduce to people before we go right into the topic.
Okay.
And I was looking up some questions, and I also like made up myself some questions. And the more will connect with you.
Okay.
Um, Something that I'm even like interested in of knowing is what is your biggest fear in life?
My biggest fear. Okay. So mine fear is not like, oh, I'm scared of spiders or I'm scared of snakes and stuff
Yeah.
like something like that. I think my biggest fear would be there's two. But I think the first one is being a failure at life.
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest fear because I don't know, like I cannot, like for me, when I want to do something, when I put myself up to do something, I can't fail. Like it's not in me. Like I have to be able to, like, I guess, succeed in a way. Of course, like everyone fails and stuff, like, but yeah, that's my thing, like being a failure, I guess. The other one is being rejected. So yeah, it's weird. I'm weird. I don't know.
No, I think
those are my two biggest
if you
fears.
really think about it, I think that's two fears that we all have,
Mhm.
like not being able to be successful. Something that I
Yeah.
think that's one of my biggest fears
Uh-huh.
because, coming from like my family, especially the last generation, be coming from
Hmm.
a very like they're being very successful. It's like, it's like, oh shoot, what if I ruin it?
Oh,
So
well, for me, it's like, my parents never, because my parents had me at a young age, so
yeah,
they didn't really live like their young life. So they never went to, well, they did go to college, but it wasn't like
yeah,
something big. They came to America, and so, it's hard. So like just seeing them, I'm like, no, I can't. I have to like make them like happy, like for
yeah,
me, like,
definitely. And
so.
also another thing that you mentioned there, something that challenges me more, like way more, is I'm the second person that graduated from high school here in the
Mhm.
United States in my family. So, it's like, damn, like my family, in a way, they're successful, and it's like without them studying or stuff like that. So
Mhm.
that challenges me more. Is like, shoot, I have to do a lot more.
Yeah.
Um, what is your proudest accomplishment in life?
um well, I have to think about this one. My proudest accomplishment, I guess, graduating high school, because
Okay.
like, um not everyone, I guess, does it, and
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was such a big deal until I was like actually graduating. There's people who didn't like care and stuff. And then like seeing my parents happy, I guess that made me very like happy.
Definitely.
So I guess graduating high school. I think my next greatest accomplishment would be graduating college, but that's not that's not for right now.
Yeah. All right. So, um, I wanted to listen to you responding to this question. What makes you angry?
What makes me angry?
Yeah. Or like let's put it into like what's your pet peeve? Like something that it's like you must not do?
Okay, so like for me, when it comes to my friendships, I guess like, um I don't know, it's really hard. Okay. So one of them is like when I text you and you don't text right away. I guess that like kind of like takes me
Yeah.
off of it, because if we're having a phone conversation and stuff, and you, like, I guess the limit for me is 10 minutes, but if it goes over 20 minutes and that conversation's over, I'm not gonna answer you, it's really annoying. Another one would be like, not getting that recognition, that like, oh, like, like you helped me through this, whatever, this and that. i
Yeah.
guess i guess that's a pet peeve of mine.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think I agree with you on the first one, but on the first one, I don't really mind the time. There's
Hmm.
one thing I do hate, and it's my biggest pet peeve. It's two of them in one. Is if I'm talking to you on the phone, it could be anybody, and it turns into a long conversation or something. Or
Hmm.
especially bothers me most if it's like in a relationship. It's like you're talking to the person, they're like, mm-hmm, uh-huh, and you hear them clicking the screen or swiping, and it's like, really? Are you? I'm like, call me back when you're done looking at Instagram or something. Or
Okay.
another thing is, if I'm talking to you and then you're just like this, and you're like, mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh, I
Oh,
see.
that it's like I find it so disrespectful. I'm like, if we're talking, come on, let's just
Uh-huh.
because you don't really like get the whole message.
Hmm.
And one question that I like to start with everybody is, and actually this one I don't even know the answer of, but how did we meet?
I don't
Because I've
remember.
known you for a while now,
Yeah,
but I
I
don't.
remember because when I was younger, obviously I was like what, 14 around there.
Mhm.
I've heard of you, like I heard of you, but I didn't know who you were. I know
Yeah,
you came from Kingston and stuff, and I remember that some of the youth they would go to Kingston
yeah,
in church just to like go play or whatever, the band and stuff. I don't know. And I remember there was a girl at that time. She doesn't belong in church. I remember she mentioned you and stuff, and I would just know of you, but I didn't really know you.
yeah.
I don't remember the first time we ever spoke to each other.
I don't. In general, I don't even think. I think I definitely got close to you through Dennis. Like I think
Yeah.
that's what like because I was really close with Dennis already.
Uh-huh.
So, and after that, since we worked in the creative team and everything in the
Yeah.
youth team, I think that's when like
I also remember I'm pretty sure we had a streak on Snapchat. This was like back in
really.
2017. I think we did have a
Oh
streak.
yeah, we did, and
I,
yeah, we did. I remember. I don't know. I don't know if you were part of that group, but like there was this time I went to an encounter, and there was like four young people there, and I had a streak with two of them.
Mhm.
And they're like, I'll give you my phone, log in. And it's crazy because that used to be such a big thing.
Yeah, I
And it
remember.
was like, like, can you like log in, or like I'll give you my login for Snapchat, just look at it and send a picture, and then I'm like,
Uh-huh.
damn,
I
like people
remember
actually
I
take it serious.
I remember I did that. So when we went to Lanzamiento, this was in 2017. I remember I don't know why streaks were such a big deal, but
Yeah.
I remember that I did the same with some other friend. I'm like, because you get your phone taken away.
Yeah.
I remember I did that with one of my closest friends, and I told them, "This is my password. Make sure you send yourself a streak and send all the other people streaks." And then he did it. Thank God my streaks were good.
Yeah.
But then months after, I'm pretty sure Snapchat died when I was like to me. I don't even use Snapchat that much. Like I just check it like once in a while. And I remember that when I think it started going downhill once that they had
The
that weird
update.
update.
Yeah.
hmm And I remember that I wouldn't even care anymore. Like I what's it called? I wouldn't even like talk to anyone. I would just take a picture and like just
Exactly. That's what it was.
write the S and just
Yeah, I'm
send it.
like, the heck? Like nowadays, I still like. There's sometimes that I get it. They're just like an S, and I'm like, and
hmm
it's younger people.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I think I've noticed that younger people, they're like, oh, Mr. whatever, but I don't care anymore. And I remember that I think I even told like once I was done with Snapchat, I think I told my streaks like, hey, I'm not gonna be using Snapchat anymore, so don't snap
yeah,
me. And I remember there was this one friend who he kept sending me snaps. I'm like, I'm done with streaks, stop sending me stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, oh my
No,
god.
I remember like for me, it really wasn't a big deal, but I know that people that I had was a big deal.
Yeah,
And then
it's
I
weird.
had a few that was over like 80, and I remember it was my fault. I broke it. I
hmm
didn't send it, and we were like a 200 and something. It was definitely my highest, and I'm like,
Mine was around 300 something. It was my fault. Yeah, it was my fault I lost it. I remember that my friend was so mad.
yeah.
But I don't know, like doesn't matter.
And then the other question is, what is the first memory that pops into the head, like in our friendship? I think we both have the same.
Yeah, I think we I
Yeah.
posted
Yeah,
it.
you did post it about it. No, because like there's a lot of people that I know, but like, one of the reasons why I asked these two things is like, because it's like, damn, I've known them, but it's like, I really like don't
Mhm.
remember, like a lot of people, I don't remember how I met. Like,
I don't remember meeting you. Like I honestly don't remember. Another memory that comes to my mind when like I think of you is because of the whole Snapchat thing. I remember there was this one night you asked me these like survival questions, and you're like, if
oh
you were to go on an island,
yeah.
who are like four people you would choose, whatever. And
Yo,
that's
yeah, that
really
was that was when I used to live in church and I was so bored at night. And I
uh,
remember like I would just ask random people like, yo, like, and it would get to the point where I'm just making up the questions. It wasn't like
mhm,
a thing that I was following or anything. I'm like, I'm just really bored. Let me ask people what they'll do.
mhm.
But yeah. But getting into the topic, we're talking about creativity, and you yourself are someone who is super creative, someone who's been a huge blessing for the ministry, and in any area you've been able to use creativity. You're more of like a graphic designer, and honestly, personally, I'm not saying it just because you're here. I've said it to you before. To other people. You're one of my favorite creators. I really love your content. You and Kadis do such a great job. And what do you like to you? What is creativity? Like what is being creative? How do you look at it?
Okay, so I knew you were gonna ask me this question.
Yeah.
I wrote my answer down, and I put, this is my definition of creativity: the ability to bring your imagination to life. I think it's pretty explanatory. I feel like us as humans, this is what I love about like how God created us, because of course he's a creator himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love the way like he made our minds function. And of course everyone has an imagination, but when it comes to creating stuff, it's like, okay, I think it, and then I just have to do it. And then for me, I feel like that's what it is. Like whatever you think is whatever you create. So that's what creativity means to me. But yeah,
All
that's
right.
pretty.
One thing that I do remember is with you, because since I met you, you weren't like part of the creative, and
No.
I don't even know, was being creative part of you since before,
Um,
or
in a way, it's just so, it's weird to explain. But I know, like growing up, I did like art, like not just like painting and stuff, but
yeah.
like, I'm the type of person who like I would see small details in
Hmm.
big stuff. So in a way, I felt like every time I would see something, I'd be like, okay, they could fix this. This could
Yeah.
be that way. This is and that. And I remember that when I was growing up, I like when I was around like 7 years old or something, I had this weird thing that I would do, that I would draw like dolls on
Okay.
paper. I would cut them out, and then it was just like the paper doll. And then I would create like small like dresses, shirts and stuff. And I would just like cut those out too and then put it on the doll. It was weird. I
Okay.
was a weird kid. So I feel like that's where I began like to create. And then I remember like around 7th, 8th grade, I would love to play around with like filters on
Okay.
Instagram. I had a lot of like filter apps. I would also edit my pictures and stuff.
Hmm.
Honestly, I'm gonna send you, if I find pictures of my old edits, I'll send them to you.
We'll,
Cringy,
we'll,
but
we'll
yeah, I
put
would
them
love
here.
to do that. I don't know why. And then around sophomore year, I took a graphic design class,
Okay.
and I think that's where like I really it really like pushed me to open up more to creativity.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sophomore class really helped me. And I remember too at one point thinking like, oh, I want to study graphic design once I'm in
Hmm.
college. But of course that has changed. I might minor in it. I'm thinking about it, but yeah, I think like graphic design is,
Because psychology is your main.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that area of life too.
Yeah.
But I've half thought like, okay, if that doesn't work, like I would love to make a minor in
Honestly,
sorry, in graphic
graphic
design.
design. Honestly, me, like, I took some classes, and I did the Art Institute here in New York for a bit, and
Mm-hmm.
like, but I'm a firm believer, and what I mean by firm, like, I stand with this. Like, creativity doesn't come to what people can teach you, is what you can learn from it.
Exactly.
So
Mm-hmm.
like, you look at these YouTubers, they didn't go to college. They didn't go, like, it's practice. And this is where I want to get to this different question or topic. Like, everybody creates differently. Like, your
Exactly.
designs are different
Mm-hmm.
than mine.
Yeah.
My video ideas are different than yours. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I look at it like, God, like, God created colors. You like yellow, I like green, you know? So it's
Mhm.
like, it's like, that's why I look at it. Some people like your design, some people would like my designs, some other people would like other people's designs, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I believe that I look at it as like, if you can study and learn more about the program, yes, like go for it. But I think if you
Mhm.
like really devote yourself to, okay, today I'm going to stay 8 hours in my computer. This is how I learned video editing,
Mhm.
and there'll be days in the summer that I had nothing to do. And I'll be like, let me go on YouTube. How do you do this? YouTube became my school. I learned more from YouTube than
YouTube
I
have
learned,
fun too.
because at the time I started taking my classes, the first 6 months, I knew everything they were saying because it's from the beginning. Then I went a little bit more to an advanced class. In the advanced class, it was like I was already more advanced. So like I was just like, you know what? Let me just do it myself. Let me express out what I know and how I look at it.
Mhm.
So what do you think of that? Like different ways of creativity. Like what are your thoughts into that?
I mean, there's a reason why we all create differently. I don't think no one can limit themselves because everyone has, like I mentioned earlier, like everyone has different imaginations. And I feel like when it comes to creativity, all you have to do is try. You have to be willing and try, learn from trial and error. I remember that like when I first began editing for We Are Youth, I remember seeing those edits and like I'm just like, why? Why did I think this was good?
Yeah, I know.
And
Or
like
when
some,
Facebook reminds you of like a post you did back then, and you're like,
oh
oh,
yeah, oh, so it's like so cringy.
yeah,
But like I said, like all you have to do is learn from trial and error. Be willing and just try. No one's perfect, of course. Like I mentioned, it's all your imagination. Everyone's different, and like once you get the hang of it, I think like it's like all up to you.
yeah,
Like
no,
find
definitely,
design and like the way you create.
yeah. Um, when this is, I think we're both gonna agree, or we're both gonna have the same answer to this. What is the hardest thing while creating something or designing something?
Elaborate, because I'm not understanding the question.
Like, when you're like gonna do a design,
Hmm.
and what is the hardest thing for you, maybe to get started, or like, for example, I'll say my example so you get the idea of the question. For me is thinking of the design,
Idea,
like
concept,
the
yeah,
idea or the concept is like,
concept, yes,
do I want triangles? Do I want squares? Do I want
yeah.
circles? Do I want colors? Or, and it's
Mhm.
like, and that for me is the hardest thing.
Mhm.
Like creating the foundation.
Yeah, yeah,
After
yeah.
I create the foundation, I just mess around with it. I'm like, oh, let me do
Uh-huh.
this, let me do that.
Uh-huh.
Like the first thing for me, that's the hardest.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest for me too. Sometimes like I think of an idea, right? I create it, I don't like it, and I end up with a different concept,
Yeah,
different and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I like this one better than the first one.
yeah.
So yeah.
I had someone who asked me, let me get the question. What is a motivation? Like what motivates you to be creative? And like one thing I remember before you answer the question, um, before you came into social media, Kadis and I used to work on the designs, and she knows there was times where we would agree with each other, and then there was times that it's like, I would just be like, yeah, or she'll be like, sure, post it, or whatever. And I think that's like what we like, like I think I even told you about it, I was like, yo, you should like create something or do something, like, because I don't know exactly why I told you, but I know you were like maybe into it or something like that. And I know Kari's like wanted a girl in the team and everything, but then that's when you came along. But like, what is your like, what motivates you, like what is that one thing that, like, because me personally, I love sitting editing a video. I can edit a video all day,
Hmm.
and for me it's just being able to create the video, being able to create like a little story out of different
Hmm.
files, what is that one thing that like motivates you to do? Like I'm like, okay, this is why I love graphic design.
I think like basically like the message you're putting out there, because I of course like I follow like content creators. I follow
Mhm.
churches who create and stuff. So I'm just like, wow, like what they create really impacts like me, like impacts like what my thoughts are and stuff. So
Yeah,
I think that motivates me a lot. Like whatever I create can impact someone, like can touch them or anything. And I remember that a couple weeks ago when we were in the prayers for the 10 p.m. prayers through Zoom. I remember Wendy, she started praying for the creative team, and then she said that like whatever gets posted out there, like make it like touch
yeah,
someone, impact someone. So I think that's that. Like it's just a message you're sending out there. That motivates me. Another thing too would be like the way like I'm sorry. Never mind. It's fine.
no, me personally, like, like you saw, like, there's two of us who started this YouTube projects,
hmm
I was working on some of the podcasts for about ever since I got better from the virus. I was like, I need to create something new,
Yeah.
and like me, my motivation was like, I'm like, I can sorry,
It's fine.
it happens. But I was like, I can help someone, like if one person, is like, hey, that video helped me or whatever, that
Exactly.
for me is like, damn. So, like when I started this and I uploaded the first video, like to me it was like, like maybe it's not the highest quality. It's through Zoom, and everything. But I'm like, I want to create something new.
Yeah.
And I was like, I searched up on YouTube, I'm like Zoom podcasts. And I couldn't find many of them, There was like interviews and stuff, but there wasn't like a podcast. So I was like, I'll start this, like so many people have something, like everyone I know has a story or something to share.
Yeah.
And after I uploaded the first video, like you get all the congratulations from your friends and stuff like that, family members. And that feels nice, but it's like most of the people, your friends and family, no matter what you start, they'll congratulate you and
Yeah.
they'll be like, do it and everything. But I like once I uploaded the first video, I got a message. I'm learning this YouTube thing and everything through YouTube, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then this one person is like, he was someone from Texas. Okay, how did he get the video? I don't know. Maybe I do random tags. Okay, so
Yeah.
um, and I'm like, oh, hey, how are you? He's like, bro, that really spoke to me, and it was one with Christian, and he's like something that he said,
Oh,
and I was like, how
hello?
can you hear me?
Hello?
Okay, there you are.
Oh, you
That's the
froze.
oh shoot, you froze too.
Are you serious?
Yeah, are we playing? What was that game? Ice or tag, whatever it was called. No, but like I was saying, and he said something about being super like people maybe giving up on you and stuff like that, and he sent me a message. He's like, yo, listen, like
Hello?
this did I can you hear me?
It froze
Oh,
again.
okay. Or can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now. You're
Okay.
good.
Yeah. So like I was saying, this guy, he's like, hey man, that video really spoke to me. And it's like, I was going through depression, I was being neglected, like nobody believed in me. And just hearing those words was like a confirmation from God. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, that like motivates you, like just that one person that it like helped him. And I've
hmm
received positive feedback from people that I have no clue who they are. For the second one that I did with Jose Barrientos, this lady, she's from Boston, I guess, maybe from some of the people that shared my link on Facebook, or because I
hmm
posted on, I don't know if you know, Ofertas de Boston and stuff like that.
Okay.
And she's like, oh my God, thank you. Like I was honestly like, anxiety was killing me in this house and everything. So I'm just like, I was like, damn, I've had this talent for so long until now, I think, to use like technology and social media in general. So to me, that's something that's like yo, like it's time to create something new and something different, you know?
Hmm. I think
Um,
that
yeah,
was my problem when I was like growing up. Like I didn't know exactly where to fit in, you know? And I feel like a lot of youth now, they struggle with that. Like they don't know where to fit in. And yesterday when I did a Q&A on my Instagram, someone asked me like what's an advice you would give to like a teenager and stuff. And I said, you know, like just find what you're really passionate for and just begin to invest that like in your early years. So once you're older like that, that's not a struggle for you, you know? And I think that oh my god, I don't even know. What's it called? Like
you're gonna
you
start
just
crying.
no, I'm not gonna cry. I'm good.
You've gotten better at that.
Yes, thank God.
Yes, you have.
What's it called? But yeah, like discover what you're passionate for, you know. And for us, it's creating, and like for other people, it can be like singing, it can be dancing and stuff. But yeah, like don't give up on like what you're passionate for. You get me? But yeah,
Yeah, like listen, guys, if you're at this part of the video, like Liesy knows, I've messed up, you know, like, and there was times where people gave up on me. Like, I know
mm-hmm.
what it feels to not have a lot of people have your back or help you out, or maybe you wouldn't be their first pick. But one thing that I did learn, you know, it's that through mistakes we learn. And I'm a firm believer that people deserve second chances and third chances.
Mm-hmm.
And through this time, and something that we spoke with Christian, I learned from my mistakes that you can never give up on people. Like
Yeah,
people will change. You know, like they just need someone to be pushing them, you know.
exactly.
If it wasn't for Pastor Benjamin, Christian, and you know, my other friends, like it would have just been like I don't know where I would be, you know. So
Exactly.
that's another advice that I can give you is make
Yeah.
sure you have a mentor or someone who's there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like
Exactly. Like someone that will push you. For like in my example, I remember that you know, because I wasn't into like anything like I was like in dance and stuff, but like it wasn't like the same passion I used to have when I was younger.
yeah.
And I remember that like I would post stories on my personal Instagram and I would make them like cute and stuff. And I remember it was one Friday I came into the youth service and like I was serving in a completely different ministry that like I had no passion for, like nothing. And then you know, Cadiz came up to me and she's like, "Do you want to be in charge of the social media for VR Youth?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Can you post stories for me?" Because she couldn't do it, you know.
Yeah.
She would be singing and stuff, and then I'm pretty sure you would take pictures, you know, so no one would like really pay attention to that
Mhm.
area. And she's like, "Can you just begin posting like pictures and stuff?" And I remember she would give me her phone, and I would like edit them and everything, and that's where like everything began. Dennis also has mentioned that he's the one who pushed me, but I honestly do not remember. But yeah, Dennis has been like a great help for me,
Yeah.
and to like how do you say, like involving myself more into like the ministry that I am in now. So like I think those two individuals, like I'm like so thankful for them.
Yeah, no, honestly, like we were saying, like find someone who's going to be there for you, like someone who believes in you. And
Mm-hmm.
because me, I know a lot of people, but I like to keep my circle tight, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Like for example, if I'm hanging out with you, Dennis, and whatever, I like it to be a little bit of people, you know, like
yeah.
because I've learned through time that the more people you have, there will be a chance that one thing will come out of the group. Like maybe I'm not saying like we're gossiping or anything, but like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when we're together, you know, we probably share like some problems or just things that we're going through, you know, and it's like through the future that could hurt. So one
Yeah.
thing I do advise is keep your circle tight, you know, people that you can trust with and
Mm-hmm.
people you know that are going to count on you and you're also going to count on them.
Exactly.
um I have another question. It says, I'm going to read it in Spanish because it's in Spanish. It says, and then I'll translate it to English.
Okay.
¿Qué es lo que te inspira a crear algo nuevo? What's something, I know I mentioned like what is the one thing that makes you create, but what's something that inspires you, you know, that's like for me, like for example, if I want to create video, it's nature.
Yeah.
you know, it's like I look at nature and I'm like, damn, I can take a nice video of this. Or like for weddings, I like to be super creative,
Mhm.
including nature. Like, what is the one thing that inspires you?
I think one thing that inspires me, like I mentioned before, basically like putting the message out, like putting
Hmm.
a message out there. I think that's what inspires me. Like, what am I putting out there? What am I trying to show these people of
Yeah.
what church can do, what Jesus can do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's what motivates me, like the message being put out there. But yeah, that's it. I think that's my answer.
And just to like finish off, because some of the other questions are pretty much kind of the same. Um, what is something that maybe you're working on, or what is something you want to like do? You know, like for me, you've heard. We even did a podcast and it never came out.
I know you should really put that one out there.
Yeah, that I need like that one was really good. That
That
one
one,
was super good.
yeah, that one.
And so it's something that I've had for a while. You know, you've probably heard me say it in the group chat, in the creative group chat, like, yo, podcast here, podcast there.
Mm-hmm.
And I recorded 3 of them, but they never came out. And it's something that I'm trying to get to them so I can upload them. But what is something that you're like maybe planning on doing, or maybe something that you might be working on? Or what is that one thing that you have like a goal to do?
So I think one thing that, you know, like I mentioned earlier, um, be like to create something, right? It's like, you know, you're putting a message out there. And so like I remember in the beginning of the year, I came across this Instagram page, right? And they would it was basically like um so they would make a design,
Hmm.
right? And then depending on that design is what they spoke, like, okay, my devotional today was this and that. So it was like the design, and then they just wrote down their devotional in the
Yeah.
in the you know, the caption. So I was like, wow, that's so good, you know. And I remember that I was thinking about, like, I would think about it, and then in a way I feel like God put into my heart, like, you know, why don't you create something like that, like begin like a page where you can express, like, you know, design and stuff, but
Hmm.
also write down your devotions there. And you know, I wanted to begin it in the beginning of the year, but honestly, because like I mentioned to you like earlier, I had so much going on and stuff, like I was just so stressed, and like, you know, there was so much on my plate, so I kind of like shoved that project aside. I remember even telling Dennis, like, I want to do this and stuff, but like, you know, I haven't had time. But now that we're in quarantine, you know, I mean, I have to really pray about it, but
Yeah.
you know, because it's just, you know, and then for me to like, I love designing and I also love reading, so like those two combined together is just like, you know, I can do something. I can do
Yeah.
something. And so, you know, like I mentioned, I have to pray about it really and see like how I can do. I even like created the at name and stuff. It's just I have to put it out there, you know.
All
So
right.
that's one
So
aspect. Another thing too, I know I like, sorry, like I was thinking about it the other day, like journaling. Journaling is creative, something
yeah.
creative. You know? It's like writing down your thoughts, like, you know, it's, like I want to get into that too. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
What I have right now.
So I'm gonna challenge you through the whole video. You've seen that I at people's Instagram.
Yes.
So I'm gonna at you're gonna send me the at for it, and you know, so people can go in and start following. Because if you don't, me personally, like yesterday's video, I was late. It was like 5 something, you know, and I usually upload 3:30.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing for me was starting, you know, like I had
Yeah.
videos already and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to upload it just yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to upload it, you know. And I uploaded the first one, and then the second one, the third one. And I'm probably going to make yours the fourth one, because the other ones that I recorded before, they're a little deeper, and I don't want to start so deep, you know, like, so I just want to go easy.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I think putting it out there, it's what definitely challenges you. It's like, I'm like, oh shoot, people saw that I did a video already.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want to be that failure, you know. It's like, oh, you started
Yeah.
this project, we'll go, and what happened to it, you know? And that's something about me. Like, I haven't really started a lot of projects,
Hmm.
but the only projects I've been able to be successful in is my company, you know, like the photography and video company that
Yeah.
I got known, and I, you know, it became my main source of income. And but after that, I've had other. I don't know if you remember. I did started like quotes on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
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 you
yeah.
kind of like, and it got to the point where I was like, "Yep, I stopped." You know, and then there's just
Wait, but you don't have a photography page, or do you?
I do, but I also failed at that project.
Oh,
I have so much things that I can just upload,
yeah.
but I just got introduced to this new thing that it's free, that you can schedule your things on Instagram and
Mhm.
Facebook. I had heard of some, but I knew they weren't free. So I was like, I'm not going to invest in something that I can do, you know, like myself.
Yeah.
Like that's just making myself lazier. So once this whole pandemic just starts getting a little better, that's going to be my goal. So right now, to work on something creative, as in like for the Instagram, and just start scheduling for my
Yeah.
photography page because
Yeah, that's something too, like kind of like overwhelmed me because of course like I would have to need time, right, to create the thing. To of course have a devotional time
yeah,
and just really think through it, like, okay, I have to be posting. You have to be constant.
yep, you
Sorry,
do,
consistent. So, I think that's something, one of my flaws, that I can be consistent, like, oh yeah, yeah, like, but
yeah.
then it just goes down.
You know,
So
there's this pages on Instagram that I respect them. You know, they have something for each day. Like they're like May 9th or like April 17th
yeah,
through the
yeah.
whole year and something nice about it. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that takes time. That takes motivation to actually do it. But no,
It does.
honestly, I'm gonna challenge you to do it. I think if you're not challenged, you'll just be thinking about it and
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll do it next time, whatever this and that. So I'm gonna leave it there and
And honestly, you're of course, like, Dennis knew about it, and then no one else knew about it. Like, it was just like within me, like between us two.
yeah.
So you're basically like the first person that
All right.
about that project. And what's it called?
So
Now
tomorrow on
everyone,
Thursday, I mean,
yeah,
tomorrow
everyone's.
is, I haven't even lost count of days. Tomorrow's Friday, so tomorrow people will know about it. So
Yeah. Oh,
I would
okay. Now I
challenge you
have
to put
to.
the first post. But yeah, no, honestly, like you're super creative. You have so much to give, and if that's something that's in your heart and an idea that you have, go for it. You know, like the amount of people that you could be helping with. Maybe if you upload a quote or a verse or whatever, you
Yeah.
know, like I don't really know how hashtags work on Instagram, but like, you know, like you can motivate someone, you know, with, and
Hmm.
that's what I say. My goal is if one person gets something out of it, boom, you know, let's go
Hmm.
for it. And honestly, I've said it to you before, but you are super talented. You have so much more to give.
Thank you. You
And
too. You too.
you know, like God has a lot of plans for you ministry wise, and like, you know, you're not just like a creative mind, you're also like, you know, you have your cell group and you've learned how to be a leader and everything. But I think your main part is going to be pastoring, but I do believe the creativity is how you're going to be able to reach the people that God has to
Yeah.
you.
And
And
I feel like that's like the amazing thing about God, is that like everyone has a different purpose, right? A different calling. And like what I love so much about like what God has like created us as humans, that we all have different personalities, and like there's certain attributes that like go into our personality. And for example, me, like I mentioned, I love designing. Like I have that creative like side of me, but I also have like kind of like a more logical kind of side to me. I don't know how
yeah,
to explain it. Like, reading and like, reading, writing and stuff like that. And so when that comes together, like I just think about like, I can really pass through people through creativity and stuff like that. And it's just amazing, That's what I love so much about like why God has created us, and the callings that he has for each and every single one of us,
yeah,
it's just different, it's unique, and anyone can do anything really. Like there's no limit. God has put no limit to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's what pretty much it is.
No, and before we go, I like to leave this right at the end. Is like, what is one message that you can leave, especially right now we're talking about creativity, so what is that one thing, a message that you can leave to the people that are watching, maybe a message for the creative people who are watching and they want to start something new, and a positive message in general, for the people.
I guess like I would say like don't limit yourself, and keep on trying. Like don't give up. Everything is through trial and error, and as long as you are creating, I feel like you're being productive. You're investing in like your creative mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, like don't limit yourself and keep on trying.
And no, I just want to thank you for accepting the invitation
Thank you for having
and
me.
for being part of this new beginning, new challenge that I'm doing. But honestly, I'm not doing this for me. I'm just doing it because, like, you've seen there's always been someone different. And I just know we all have a story that needs to be brought out.
Mhm.
And not just honestly, like, just people that are watching. If you have like a creative mind, if you have ideas in mind, what I can tell you is just don't think about them, execute them.
Exactly,
Like,
exactly.
like, don't be afraid of what people are going to say at the beginning. Like what Liesy was saying, it was like, I've looked at my videos from the past, and there's this one video, which video it is. I tried so much to delete that video. At the time when I was like that one that looked like Aldo or whatever it was.
Oh, Waldo.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey guys. And at that time I was like, yo, that's such a good video. Like I got this, I forgot what this group was called. It's my favorite group. Capital Kings. I don't know if you've heard of
Mhm.
yo, Capital, and like I got Capital Kings in the background, and I'm like, yo, this is the best video I've ever made. And now I look at it and I'm like, what was I thinking about? And not just that, like other things that Facebook reminds me that I did like a quote or something. And I'm in charge of Pastor Benjamin's page too. And I look at his old designs and I'm like, damn, he liked that? Like, but that's how, honestly, that's how creativity just keeps going out. And if you have something in mind, don't be afraid.
Mhm.
Go. And that's what I can tell. But Liesy, thank you so much. Follow her Instagram.
Hold on, hold on.
Yes,
So I
yes.
want to read this verse that like
Oh
I
shoot.
think
Ya cayó fuego.
this verse that like I really loved, and I read it in the beginning of the year, And this is in Exodus 35:31, and basically this is like I believe this is when God was telling Moses like, okay, these people are gonna build this, these people are gonna build this and that.
Hmm.
But he's talking about like the designers for the clothing that the priest
Okay.
was gonna wear. So it says, and he has filled them with the Spirit of God, with skill, with intelligence, with knowledge, and with all craftsmanship to devise artistic designs to work in gold, silver, and bronze. So like in a way, I feel like this speaks to me saying like, okay, God has put his spirit in us to create, so whatever we have, it's like for God's
Yeah.
glory. So yeah, I
Yes.
wanted to leave it at that. The verse is Exodus 35:31, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I mean, if you look around, his creativity was just amazing. You look at nature,
Mhm.
cities, and everything pretty much starts with him. Not pretty much, everything starts with him. So every creative idea that you have, like creativity started with God. Like,
Yeah.
so, like you look at the world and he painted all of this, and then we have so much to give. And so let's see, keep on doing your thing. People that are watching, if you haven't start, like keep on
Mhm.
going. Like, we need more creative, especially like more creators in this time of days. We need to, not just like in your church, but like outside of church. Like
Yeah.
technology, like the way technology is being used, especially now in this whole pandemic, it's insane. Like people are going through Instagram, like they maybe just went out of it. 2 seconds later, they're going on Instagram again. So, like people will see something that you make. And maybe it's not like I've always said, it's not about how many likes you get. It doesn't matter how many followers you gain. It doesn't matter like, how many shares. What I look at is like, what matters to me is how many followers you are helping to get into the kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
and then how many shares, as like how many people accepted through your content and they're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't stop. Like behind you, there could be thousands of people and you haven't realized it. So thank you so much, Liesy.
Thank you.
It was awesome talking to you, and I hope you're doing fine. Stay safe and always wear a mask and gloves.
Wash your hands.
Yes. I think my hands are, they're all like wrinkly now.
Same.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hugo.
All right. Bye.
Bye.